It is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Janice Kalin, Development and Community Relations Officer for the Duke Lemur Center. During Janice's undergrad and master's work at Queen's University, she worked in Kenya and South Africa focusing on elephant conservation. After moving to North Carolina, she found the Duke Lemur Center. She was so impressed with the wonderful conservation work that they were doing in Madagascar, she signed up to volunteer to help in any way she could. She's now Development and Community Relations Officer, working to develop awareness of the fabulous work being done at the Duke Lemur Center and in Madagascar to save this wonderful primate species. Please welcome Ms. Janice Kalin.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for coming in from the nice warmth from outside. It's a nice little refresher, isn't it? So I'm Janice. I am from the Duke Lemur Center. I have been a volunteer there for almost 10 years, but I do work there now. But most of my time is volunteer though still, but which is great. So it is at the Duke Lemur Center, and we live in Durham, and Durham is such a, I know we all agree, is such an awesome place, but the Duke Lemur Center makes it even so much more of a special place because it is the world's largest collection of lemurs outside of their native Madagascar. But that's kind of crazy, isn't it? That lemurs are in Durham when they are only supposed to be in Madagascar. So pretty much what is a lemur and why are they in Durham? So lemurs, what exactly is a lemur? So we'll talk about what a lemur is, and then we'll go from why they're in North Carolina and how they got to Madagascar and all the fun facts that we can talk about with lemurs. So lemurs are primates. So that's the biggest, most important part about lemurs that we have to know about. So primates are mammals that include lemurs, monkeys, and apes. And there's one more group in there that I didn't add. So what else is a primate? What am I missing up here? Humans, exactly. So many people miss that one. So humans, kind of, I'm going to say the most important primate. But anyway, so we have lots of different primates. So which of these is not a primate? Thoughts? The sloth. The sloth, exactly. So usually when I do this presentation, they're all primates. So I was thrown off on this one as well. So the sloth is not a primate, but everybody else is a primate. So pretty much what makes us a primate and what is a primate and why are we called primates and why are we all grouped together? So pretty much it's because of our big, huge, beautiful brains. Our brains are bigger relative to other animals. Of course, an elephant brain is significantly larger than my brain, but relative to my body and the elephant body, needless to say, my brain is larger, relatively. Opposable thumbs makes life a little bit, well, a whole lot easier. So we can do a lot of dexterity with our hands. Fingernails, fingerprints. So all primates have this. We have forward-facing eyes. So our eyes face forward so that we can move forward, so that we can think better, and so we have stereoscopic vision. Now this is really important, it's important for me as a human, but it's more important for our friends like the lemurs when they're jumping through trees and trying to navigate through the forest very, very quickly to have these forward-facing stereoscopic eyes. They have a long childhood. So we always see a lot of animals that are very precocious and grow up just like that. Lemurs do tend to hang out with their parents for quite a long time. Again, it's very relative. So the lemurs that we have at the Lemur Center, they'll be with their parents anywhere from 1 year up to 7 years. And when they only have a lifespan of 19-ish years, that's a pretty long childhood to hang out with mom. So, yes. And they do have a long lifespan, again, relatively. So some of our lemurs, they have lifespans of 9 years. Some of them have lifespans of up to 19 years. But at the Duke Lemur Center, because they are in captivity, because they have 24-hour health care, balanced diets, and no predators, some of our lemurs live up into their late 30s. So that gives us, we'll talk about some of the research that we're doing with our lemurs that are living a little bit longer and why it's very, very important for that. But lemurs, even though they're primates and they have all those same characteristics, they have a couple extra characteristics that make them kind of extra special. So lemurs are called prosimians. So that means pre-monkey because they existed millions of years prior to the existence of monkeys, apes, and humans. They're our oldest ancestors. So they existed more than 60 million years ago. So they have that long, beautiful nose. You'll see that they all have long noses. And then you'll see with monkeys and apes how their noses are a lot flatter. So they have a wet rhinarium, and that's just pretty much to say they have a wet nose. Why do you think it's important to have a wet nose?
You can smell better.
Exactly. So you can smell so much better. So lemurs' primary form of communication and most important form of communication is via scent. So this is how they talk to each other. They also have a tooth comb. So this is the bottom of their teeth. So we were talking about that big, huge, beautiful opposable thumb that we all have. Lemurs do have this opposable thumb, but it's not quite as dexterous as a monkey's or apes. Now, when you'll see a monkey and ape and how they groom each other, how they show affection, and how they have their behavior, they pick at each other. Now, what are they doing when they're picking at each other, and why would they be picking at each other? Mm-hmm.
Removing fleas and other.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But why is that important?
It's a sign of friendship.
Exactly. So it's to keep you clean. It's showing I care about you. So it's social bonding. So it's very, very important. So you'll see all primates grooming in different manners. So they'll be cleaning bugs off each other. Mom, I'll be brushing my daughter's hair, things like that before she goes running out the door. But lemurs can't groom like that thing. So they have a tooth comb. So their bottom teeth are fused, as you can see, in that manner, so that they will groom each other with that teeth. So it's like a little comb. So that's how they groom each other. So you'll see lemurs doing that. They also have a grooming claw. In addition to having all of those 5 fingers, 5 toes, fingerprints, and fingernails, they have a special claw that they can groom with as well. And the best part about lemurs, they're female dominant. So lemurs are also very unique in the fact that they are not sexually dimorphic. So it's not until you get into monkeys, apes, and humans where they are typically males are a little bit larger. So you'll see that with monkeys and apes and humans, all of the men are typically a little bit larger. Whereas with lemurs, they're always the same size. So that gives that female a little bit of dominant. So it gives her a little bit of benefit as well. So when I say female dominant, it will range anywhere from she has to be the first to eat to she tells everybody what's going on, and she tells and she gets to choose her mates. So and there are varying levels of dominance, as there are in all different societies and all different groups. Some of our females are very, very dominant, so don't you even look at her food until she says it's okay. But some of the other females are a little bit more relaxed and accommodating. But yes, so as you see on the right-hand side, the lemur is the female, and the male is kind of like, please. So this is what it means in the lemur world. So there's more than 80 different species of lemurs. So we're going to talk about the diversity of lemurs. It's absolutely fascinating, the diversity of lemurs. So we will go from, okay, so these lemurs up here are the smallest primates on the planet. They're a gray mouse lemur. These lemurs, when they are adults, weigh 2 ounces. So they're only this big. And what we're starting to see with these guys, well, actually, we just had babies yesterday. We had twins yesterday. These babies weigh as much as 3 pennies. So if you place 3 pennies in your hands, that's how much those babies weigh. So they grow up to be about 2 ounces. The diversity is tremendous. So we'll talk about the different types of diversity that we have. So you're going to see just in their looks how different, incredibly different they are. So we have this gorgeous creature here. This is an eye, kind of the craziest mashed up animal that you're ever going to see. He has big, huge bat-like ears. He has ever-growing incisors. He has a middle finger that is twice as long as all of his other fingers, and it's on a ball and socket joint. And he taps, and he uses that tapping finger to find holes in the wood so that he can chew through with those ever-growing incisors and eat all the bugs. So they're very, very, very crafty as well. So they have very huge differences. So there's at least 80 different species, and some scientists say, depending on the genetics, there may be up to 100 different species of lemur. 3 new species have been discovered this year. So the species are very, very diverse. So we'll start with, there's nocturnal lemurs, and there's diurnal lemurs. So diurnal lemurs are lemurs that are awake during the day, and then there are lemurs that are nocturnal. So primates, these are a very, very special type of primate because of the fact that they do have nocturnal species as well as diurnal. Very few other different types of animals have these two representations within their groups. We're also, with the research that we're starting to do at the Lemur Center, we're understanding that there's a little bit of a blend. There's a group of lemurs called ephemeral lemurs, so that what they can do is they can change from being diurnal to nocturnal, or just hang out with a sleep-wake cycle. And it all changes throughout the year depending on when their food is available. Now, what we see is their actual brave waves change. Now, wouldn't that be great as a shift worker or as a new mom to be able to have this capability? So we're starting to have a better understanding of the different ways that sleep changes within the primate world. So they also live in very, very different types of communities. So you would think that there's little ones, the itty bitties, they live all by themselves. So the eyes, the mouse lemurs, they're very, very solitary. They kind of hang out by themselves, and then they will start to, when they have to find their mates, they'll be able to scent mark, and all the other lemurs will know when they're ready to have a friend, so that they can live by themselves. Some of them live in pairs, mom and dad. Indri, this lemur right here, and there's a red-bellied lemur. We have a red-bellied lemur at the Lemur Center. We do not have any Indri at the Lemur Center, but those are the only two species of lemur that are monogamous. We do have a couple species of the red-bellied lemur, and if their mate passes away, they won't repair. So it's kind of sad and sweet all at the same time. But then we also have these big, huge groups. So the ring-tailed lemur, I'm sure that everybody here has seen a ring-tailed lemur before. They're probably the most common in zoos. So you'll see them because they adapt very, very well in zoos. For example, the Indri, this big, huge, gorgeous thing here, they don't do well in captivity at all. Their guts are so incredibly fragile, and what they have to eat and their diets are so incredibly unique that it cannot be mimicked in captivity, and so they don't prosper in captivity. So there are no Indri in captivity. Whereas our beautiful ringtails, they live in the southern spiny desert. And because they live in that southern spiny desert, there isn't an awful lot to eat. So because there isn't an awful lot to eat, this sweet lemur can eat pretty much anything they can get their sweet little hands on. So they will eat everything from bugs to fruit to vegetables to leaves to bark to dirt, whatever they can get their little hands on. So their guts are very, very flexible, and they can eat pretty much everything and anything. They also live in these large family groups because they live in this southern spiny desert where there isn't a lot of food. So they very much have to bond together, to hang out, and to come together as a big group so that they can protect their territories. Territory equals food, so they want to make sure that they're always together to be able to protect their food. Also, we're talking about the different sizes. So here's an itty-bitty mouse lemur. Is that Shaquille O'Neal? Anyways, one of the big basketball players. Okay, I'm sorry. Anyways, so you'll see how itty-bitty that small little mouse lemur is. So that is the Indri that I was talking about. They are about 20 pounds in the wild, but prehistorically, there used to be the Megalopus. This Megalopus is as big as a female gorilla. So more than 17 different species of lemur in the last 200 years have gone extinct. So we have to watch that. So now the Indri at 20 pounds is now the largest lemur in the world. In captivity, the largest lemur is the cockerel shafak. So I'm hopeful that you all know, I'll show you a picture of a shafak right now. They also eat lots and lots of different types of food. So we started like this. So our nocturnals are primarily insectivores. So they love their little grubs. They love their little crickets. They love their little mealworms. They'll also like some fruit and flowers as well, but they're primarily insectivorous. Also, what I really want you to notice on this sweet little mouse lemur, these are the ones that are only 2 ounces at adulthood. Look at those gorgeous, gorgeous little hands. So you can really see how primate this little guy is. We have leaf eaters. We have, again, the ringtails will eat anything. and we have fruit eaters. So we have some species of lemur, like the black and white ruff over here. This species of lemur only eats fruit. That's very, very important because of where they live. They live in rainforests, so they eat fruit. Fruit can pass through their bellies in as little as 45 minutes. So they're very, very important seed dispersal units. So we're very much seeing that the different types of fruit that they eat, the way that they live, is very important for the forests in Madagascar because they're such an important contributor. So they only eat fruit. We have a different species, so that injury that I was speaking about with the very fragile gut, they only eat leaves. It takes them up to 4 days to digest their food. So very, very different. They have the longest colon in all of primates because it takes them so long. It takes a lot of energy and time to be able to pull all that nutrition out of leaves. So they eat lots and lots of different types of food. There's also this unique little guy here. This species is absolutely fascinating. So they're a bamboo lemur. So any guesses as to what they might want to eat? Bamboo, exactly. But why don't we eat bamboo? Does anybody know? Why don't we just gnaw off a chunk of bamboo? It's too tough to eat, absolutely. So these guys, needless to say, have crazy sharp teeth. But does anybody else know why we don't eat bamboo?
Can't digest.
Right, but why?
Don't have enough stomachs.
Well, and it's filled with cyanide. So what this little guy does, he's only 3 pounds at adulthood. The amount of bamboo that he eats in a day, the amount of cyanide that he ingests out of that bamboo would kill a bull elephant in 1 day. But so we don't fully understand the mechanisms of how that bamboo is taken and assimilated, but it works and he does very, very well. So they have tremendously unique diets. And there's a silky shafak down there. These guys eat dirt when their bellies aren't feeling very well, or if they need a little bit of better digestion. So you'll see them come down from the trees and scourge in the dirt. Okay, so lemurs like to talk to each other by singing. So these species here, so the injury here, this guy, he is the loudest lemur on the planet. So there's only one louder primate, louder than the injury. You can hear the injury's call for about 1.5 miles away, but there's one louder primate. Any thoughts as to who that might be? No? Who?
Howler monkey.
Right, so only the howler monkey is louder than an injury. You can hear a howler monkey from more than 2 miles away. These guys are about 1.5 miles, and it's the most beautiful, soulful, heartbreaking sound that you're ever going to hear. Now the lemurs here, you can only hear that. We have these guys at the at the Lemur Center, and hopefully you have heard them. You can hear their call from more than 1/2 mile away. Now it's very important why they have this call, because this species here, again, they're fruit eaters. They live up in the canopy of the trees. This species of lemur can have up to 6 babies at a time. Needless to say, it would be pretty tough to move through that canopy with 6 babies on your back. So what mom does, they have a very different reproductive strategy. They'll make a nest, park those sweet little babies in that nest, and then mom and dad will head off and forage for food. But they have this call so they can communicate while they're away from babies. So they can say, uh-oh, there's a predator over here, or hey, get over here, I found a fabulous lychee tree, or whatever, so that they can minimize their time away from baby. Also so that they can communicate if there's any threats or whatever. Whereas the other species of lemur, the injury and the diadem shafak, can only ever have 1 baby at a time, because that baby has to cling and cling immediately. So that song is more for territory. So, but as I mentioned at the beginning, the most important way that lemurs communicate is via smell. So you're going to see that they have scent marking. There's absolutely no modesty at the Lemur Center. We have scent glands in different areas of our body, or of their body. I'm starting to think that I'm a lemur some days. But, so they have different scent glands in different areas of their body, and they rub these scent glands on everything and everywhere in order to communicate. So they put them all in different concoctions, all on different ways, so that they can communicate. So the ring-tailed lemur here, he has scent glands in his backside, he has scent glands right here in his wrist, and he has scent glands here in his chest. And so you're going to see on this log here that this beautiful scent gland here also contains like a thorny scrub, so he can gouge in and so he can leave his scent there. They'll also put out a lot of scent, so it will just evaporate away so they can have quick little conversations, or they have a lot of different types of mechanisms that they can put out scent so that they can mark their territory. They can say, hey, I'm here and I'm ready to have a mate, or it all depends on what they're trying to communicate for the different ways that they will speak. Ringtails also have a very fascinating way of attracting their female friends. So lemurs only reproduce 1 day a year. So needless to say, our gentlemen callers are very anticipatory of this day, and they're very, very excited to let their females know that they're the big bad one that they should be choosing as a mate. So what our lovely lemurs do, and only the ringtails do this, they have their scent glands, as I mentioned, in their wrists and underneath their arms. They rub them together to make a beautiful concoction. Then they take that beautiful tail and make that tail so nice and smelly. And then the boys throw back their ears and then throw their tails over their head and waft their tails at each other. So they'll come at each other with their tails all wafting. But this is called a stink fight. Again, scent is their primary form of communication. So this is why it's very, very important that they have these stink fights. These potential females can tell everything they need to know about these boys by their scent. So this is how they choose their mates. So also, we have some of the shafak. You're going to see that big black spot in the middle of his chest. This species of lemur only develops this when they're kicked out of their families. So when they are living with mom and dad, they cannot come into sexual maturity. Mom and dad excrete a pheromone to suppress them coming into sexual maturity. And then when they're kicked out, all of a sudden they can start to have some friends. So they will develop this sternal scent gland, and this is where when they will start to work. And then the red-bellied lemur, this guy over here, he's one of the ones that are monogamous and very, very sweet. So they also have very unique scent glands as well in their backside and in the tops of their heads. So they always look like they have kind of a crazy gelled hairdo because of their scent glands in the top of their head that they're always rubbing on everything and everywhere. So another very, very important fact about lemurs is they only come from one place on the planet, aside from Durham, from Madagascar. So Madagascar is an island that sits off the southeast coast of Africa. It's about 250 miles off that southeast coast of Africa, and lemurs only exist there. So it is on this big, beautiful island. But Madagascar is the 4th largest island on the planet. So it's much larger than you would think. It's about 1,000 miles long. So it's about the same distance from Maine down to Florida, and it's twice as wide as California. So it's much, much bigger than you would assume. But the bad thing about it is that there are 24 million people living on this island. This population is growing at 3% a year, so it is the fastest growing population on the planet. So it's the 4th largest island on in the world. It's been isolated for more than 80 million years when it broke away from Africa and India, so it's been in isolation for about 80 million years. It has incredible different climates. It's one of the most biodiverse areas on the planet. So you will see rainforest, montane forest, dry, and spiny deserts, just to name a few of the different types of climates. But you will find just about any different type of climate that you can even dream of in Madagascar. So each of these different animals has been able to specialize to each of these different climates, and so that they can be very strict specialists. So there's the mountain regions, which are absolutely stunning and gorgeous. There's the rainforests. There's the spiny desert, so kind of like what you've never really seen. It looks like a spacescape, which is kind of fantastic. Some of our shafak can live in that spiny desert, and they can jump from one cacti to another without getting their fingers prickled. And more, baobabs. Madagascar has 6 of the 8 different species of baobabs. And you can see those different species all in different areas in Madagascar. They have singi. This is called a singi. It's a limestone outcrops. So it is all up and down vertical spikes. But some lemurs live in there. So, which is kind of fabulous. You can't walk on it as a human because it goes down cavernous, down 100 feet. And then it's all very, very prickly. So humans can't live there, but neither can predators. So lemurs take good advantage of this singi. There's also a lot of lakes and rivers and areas in Madagascar. So pretty much any type of area that you can imagine in Madagascar. So another thing that's very, very important about Madagascar is 80% of everything that exists on that island is endemic. So it exists nowhere else on this planet. Chameleons, we have the largest number of chameleons on Madagascar. And the chameleons range from Bricasia chameleons, which are only, well, they're less than a centimeter long, up to the Parsons chameleon, which is a good guy like this size. They're huge and gorgeous. Anybody know what that is? It's a tenrec. They're so cute. They're Madagascar's hedgehogs. They're very, very sweet. And what about this guy? Anybody know what he is? Again, it only lives in Madagascar. It's called a fossa. So this is one of the lemur's primary predators, but they're awesome. They're awesome carnivores. But sadly, of course, they are also very, very endangered. They are fantastic. They are a felid, so they have the retractable claws, just like our house cats. Now, when house cats go up a tree, they have a hard time getting down because their claws only face in one direction. However, this fossa has rotatable wrists so that they can go up and down that tree with tremendous, tremendous speed. But the saddest part is we're on the verge of losing lemur, their habitat, and their wildlife diversity. Okay, so I mentioned the cockroach shafak. This is a cockroach shafak, this guy right here. So they live at the Duke Lemur Center. They're the ones who, they can jump 30 feet in a single bound. This species also only eats leaves. So this is the species that I was speaking about a little while ago. So we're very, very, very concerned about these because lemurs now have been named, sadly it's a title we no longer want to hold, lemurs have been named the most endangered mammal on the planet. So it's a very, very, very sad thing. So we are doing everything we can in order to save these beautiful, beautiful creatures. So it's not just the lemurs that we're losing. We are losing all the chameleons, we're losing all of the diversity in Madagascar. So we're losing all of this beautiful, beautiful habitat and all these beautiful, beautiful animals. So their wildlife is disappearing, but why? So again, Madagascar has 24 million people living on that island. It's the 4th poorest country on the planet. So because of that, they have to feed their families. So what do? They have to cut down the trees to plant rice. So they plant rice and they'll cut down the trees and then they'll burn. And this is called slash and burn agriculture so that they can make sure that the soil is fertile on a regular basis. So they will slash and burn, but they'll also do this so that the soil will also shoot up some quick green stalks for their zebu, so for their cattle as well. Also, another reason that wildlife is disappearing at a tremendous rate is that beautiful wood right there. It's rosewood. So it is a tremendous, beautiful, beautiful wood. These trees are incredibly slow growing. Where we work in Madagascar, we know where every single one of the rosewood trees is anymore. We know exactly where they all are. But for a Madagascar family, they can cut down one of those trees and they can make $1, which is a huge amount of money. One tree can create a beautiful, beautiful bedroom set, and those beautiful bedroom sets sell for more than $1 million. So you can see that the money is not going back into Madagascar. So it's the slash and burn agriculture, it's the forest because of these beautiful natural resources that Madagascar has, and then the rice farming, because rice is their #1 form of food. So they're always having to cut down those trees. They're pushing up mountains, and so that they can grow hill rice now, so that they can again feed their families. Other things that we're starting to see in Madagascar, actually I just got back from Madagascar on Monday. So other things that we're starting to see in Madagascar is that they are taking these plots of land that they own and they're creating bricks. out of their plots of land. They're taking it, instead of growing rice, they're making bricks to sell bricks, because bricks will sell for 100 ari, which is about 3 cents. But again, it's a fast way. But once that land has made bricks, it can no longer be farmed for agriculture. So we're trying to have different ways that we can help them not do that anymore. So more than 90% of lemur habitat has been destroyed. So there's less than 10% of habitat left in Madagascar. So this is the main reason why lemurs are the most endangered mammals on the planet. So one of the reasons why, of course, we want to protect the lemurs, number one, because we want our children and our grandchildren to be able to experience these absolutely stunningly beautiful animals. But as a selfish human, we also want to understand their brains and what they're doing. So this is why we also want to protect them. So it's kind of dual. So we have 3 different, and of course we want to save those sweet babies. We have 3 different approaches. So we're working in Madagascar. We have 100% people on the ground for all year in Madagascar doing an awful lot of work. But there's only 1 American there. Everyone else who works in our projects is Malagasy, because we want to make sure that we are capacity building, so that when if we had to leave, they could still continue on and continue doing what they need to do. We're doing research. Now research, I know, I always drop that word, but then people go, oh, research. And yes, we want to know about research, but research at the Duke Lemur Center is 100% non-invasive. So we want to make sure that the animals' welfare and education, so that we are coming out, we are educating people about lemurs, we're letting them know how great they are. So we work up in the northeastern area of Madagascar in an area called the Marajejy area. And so we're always there. We're doing so many different types of work, but we've realized that we can't just walk in and say, hey, save lemurs, because they don't care. They have to feed their families. So what we do is we work with the communities. So instead of us just saying, hey, let's save some lemurs, we're just trying to make sure that they have different forms of agriculture, so that they can make sure that they are growing different types of food, so that they're keeping the soil always fertile. They are planting rice differently, so that they're getting higher yields. We are allowing them to have different forms of protein and different types of food. So we're helping them build fish farms, so that they can manage those fish farms on an annual basis, so that they can dry and sell that fish. We are helping them with family planning. We're giving them schools to make sure that girls especially stay in school past their 10th birthday. We are giving them healthcare clinics, and we are making sure that they are all trained and ready to be able to run all these different areas as well. But the Marajejy National Park, where we do most of our work, is about 9,000 football fields. So it is the second largest park in Madagascar, which is kind of great. If you haven't been to the Lemur Center and met Charlie Welch, our conservation director, he and his wife lived in Madagascar for more than 15 years, and he manages all of our projects still there. So most of the national parks that are in Madagascar are thanks to him and his wife, which is great, great news. So also in Marajejy, there are so many different species of lemur. So as you can see, it's pretty exciting to go to Marajejy to see all these different species of lemur, in addition to all the different species of chameleons and birds and trees and such. So in conservation, we go, and as I was just mentioning, we go and we research. We are looking at a lot of the different areas, and what we are doing in Durham, North Carolina, is we're trying to prioritize the different needs of these lemurs, so that we can go over and prioritize different areas in Madagascar. So we'll find out what lemurs are living and how many lemurs are living where. We are taking different models so that we can have an understanding of the accurate counts of lemurs. That is a fat-tailed dwarf lemur, very, very, very fat at this moment in time. This species of lemur, what we're starting to understand about this, he's a nocturnal animal. So they live in the area where there isn't always a lot of food, but when there is food, he eats and eats and eats and eats and eats. As you can see, he stores all those resources and stores all those resources very wonderfully, but he can go for 8 months without eating or drinking a thing by living off those resources. They go into kind of a hibernation. Again, kind of a cool thing that we would be able to have, a wonderful, we would want to understand. So again, we're working with We're working with all the local villages for schools as well as for healthcare. We're building nature reserves as well, and then as well empowering all the Malagazis to be able to live and run them. So, as I mentioned, the Duke Lemur Center is the world's largest collection of lemurs outside of Madagascar. We have 250 lemurs just down the road in Durham. Can you believe it? So we have 250 lemurs, almost representing 20 different species of lemurs. So and this is our 50th anniversary. So if you haven't been to the Duke Lemur Center, you better get there. We've been here for 50 years. So it's great. And again, we do a lot of different research. So what do we do research on? Everything, but not everything. Everything, as long as those lemurs aren't harmed. Again, it's all non-invasive research. So it's all observational, behavioral types of research so that we can have a better understanding of these animals. So we talk about behavior and what lemurs like to do. What we're seeing is one of our researchers here. This is a ring-tailed lemur, and they like to sun themselves. And this is a very typical Buddha type of posture for ring-tailed lemurs. And they like to sit in the sun and soak up all those beautiful sun rays on their sweet bellies. Cognition. Yes, that is a lemur using an iPad. So, lemurs are very, very smart. Again, we're going back to what a primate characteristic is. They have large brains. And so because they have large brains, relatively, we always kind of thought lemurs were not as smart as we thought other primates were. However, we weren't asking them the right questions. Now that we're starting to figure out what we need to be asked and how to ask these questions, we're realizing how incredibly smart they are. But each different species is smart in different ways. So for example, these ring-tailed lemurs, they live in that southern spiny desert, they live in large groups. They have to know who's part of their group. They have to understand quantities really well. They have to understand sequences, they have to understand patterns very well. So this is Aristides. He's one of our rock star researchers. He will do anything for a crazen, so when he gets an answer right, you can see these little holes here, crazens pop out for him. So when the computer is being rolled down the hall, he's like so excited. So he loves his research. All of our research, again, is voluntary. If they don't feel like doing it that day, it's all operant and it's only reward-based. So what we found from Aristides and what he can do is lemurs, ringtails, are awesome thieves. And this is great to know because they can build a strategy and execute on a strategy. And it's not always the same one. So we can see how they can build these different types of strategies and execute them. Other things that that Terry's can do is, remember Simon that we used to play when we were kids and you'd have to touch the different patterns and sequences in different colors? Well, this is what he's doing there. But instead of four different colors he has to choose from, he has a choice of 10. And these are like a coat, a car, things that mean absolutely nothing to him, but he can watch those sequences. Humans typically are very good at being able to remember a sequence of up to 7 to 10. Any guesses as to what he can remember a sequence of? 20? Easy. He can remember sequences of over 30, which is kind of awesome. So we're very intelligent. We're also trying to understand their anatomy better. So understand how their muscles move, how bodies, bones, limbs, cartilage have all developed within their bodies and within our own. This species here, the cockroach again, they can jump 30 feet in a single bound. They're bipedal just like you and me. But they can't walk forwards and backwards like we can. But I can't jump 30 feet, nor can I sit in a tree every day. So our hips are shaped differently. So we're having a better understanding of the different force plates and the different areas where they use their force so that we can have a better understanding for prosthetics, for fitting of that type of different types of things. So it's very, very important. This is the most invasive that you're ever going to see us being with these animals, is just holding them for up to like a minute or so. We're just getting a measurement on his arm. But now even we're able to now with all this crazy technology, we don't even have to do these measurements anymore. Cameras can do these measurements for us. Locomotion, again, here's one of the species that is bipedal, but because they can jump that 30 feet and their hips are splayed out, they can't walk that forwards and backwards, so they dance sideways. So this is a Varroa hawk in the south of Madagascar doing his little dance, which is the most stunning and beautiful thing. Their communication, again, communication is via scent marking. So we want to understand, but we realize that each different lemur has a very, very unique scent. Their scent is just like a person's fingerprint, so it's all unique to each of the different animals. But why and what are they communicating? So this is very important. As well as the feeding and the metabolism of these lemurs. As I mentioned, some lemurs only eat fruit. How do they do that? Some lemurs only eat bamboo. We certainly couldn't do that. Some lemurs only eat leaves. So how are they doing this? But what we're also starting to understand is one of our lemurs, she had diabetes, but she doesn't anymore. What happened? So we're wanting to understand that tremendously, don't we? Other things that we're starting to understand within our cognition is when we do these cognition tests, we want to have a better understanding of how their brains have developed. But that mouse lemur, that itty bitty 2-ounce lemur, we're starting to see that they get Alzheimer's when they get into these extended ages. They're primates, they're just like we are. So we want to understand all the precursors and what is leading up to these Alzheimer's areas. Again, it's all, our lemurs use iPhones to test their cognition. And then that's how we start to understand when they're starting to get Alzheimer's. So, and then we also do a lot of education. No, lemurs cannot read. I just thought that was a fun photo. So what we do is we have tours. We have tours in the summer. We have 4 different tours, 7 days a week. So you just have to call and make a reservation so that you can come and see our lemurs. We have lots of different experiences. You can see all the lemurs, but you're always with a guide so that you're learning exactly what you know about that. We also have lots of different fun events throughout the year. For Lemur Palooza, it's more of an evening event. Our walking with lemurs, so that you're out in the forest with these lemurs. So there's no barriers between you and the lemurs. You can't touch the lemurs, as tempting as it may be, but you get to be out in the forest with these lemurs up and close with the little sweet babies. We had 4 Shafak babies this year. They were very sweet. We also have an awful lot of camps for kids. So we're starting to make sure that we understand that they're all aligned with the core curriculum in the schools, so that they're all very, very science-based. Because we aren't going to save lemurs, it's going to be our kids who are going to save the lemurs. So we have to make sure that we're inspiring that next generation of lemurs. So what is so great about lemurs, besides everything, really? They teach us about the diversity and how they have been able to adapt to all of these different diverse areas in Madagascar and what those different characteristics are within each of those different biospheres. We are trying to have a better understanding of how we can conserve lemurs, why we have to conserve lemurs, and I also spoke quickly about we need to keep the red ruff lemurs there because they're their seed dispersal units. We have other lemurs that they have these crazy ears because they are pollinators. They like to drink the nectar out of the flowers, so they're pollinators. We have the eye who gnaws. They're the Madagascar's woodpeckers. So they've been able to fill each different type of niche within Madagascar, which is very, very unique. So they've had very impressive evolution to be able to fill each of these different niches in Madagascar, and needless to say, they're very, very beautiful. So we want to make sure that our kids always have lemurs. But without us, without our kids, sadly, scientists predict that within 20 years, lemurs will be extinct. So this is why we're working so hard, and we want you all to love lemurs as much as we do. There is hope. So we are working in the forests and in Madagascar and here in Durham to make sure that these lemurs are growing. This is a silky Shafak lemur. There is less than 2,000 of them left in the wild. They're just on this one mountain in Madagascar. They're absolutely stunning, beautiful, and gorgeous. Okay, any questions for me? About lemurs, about the Lemur Center, about Madagascar?
Did you say the tours are only in the summer?
Nope, tours are 360 days a year. We do take a couple days off, but yes, all year round. The experiences are a little bit different. So in the winter, you are a little bit more inside some of our buildings, and then it's just from May 1st to probably November 1st when you can go out in the forest with them. Otherwise, we have behind the scenes tours. We also have painting with Lemurs Tours because it's a wonderful form of enrichment for the lemurs. So they love to paint. You can be a keeper for a day, so you can come and spray poop. It's all very glamorous. Or you can just come on a general tour and learn little bits about the lemurs. So yes, so any time of the year. Any other questions for me?
As mentioned, we have lemur art on display.
Oh, right.
You can see the Lemur Center on the second floor. We have the second floor with these examples of their amazing work.
Yes. So it's a wonderful form of enrichment for them. Needless to say, it's all non-toxic paint. They just love to be able to run around in the paint. It's new scents, new smells, new colors for them. And of course, they get lots and lots of treats. So they love to paint. Anything else that I can answer for you, or will you all just come and visit us at the Lemur Center? So just call, make sure that you have reservations, and we hope to see you there. And our 50th anniversary is coming up. It is on September 21st through the 23rd at the Washington Duke. All of the information is on our website. We have 2 days of science symposium, so we have researchers who have either made their start, but who are the top lemur researchers and conservationists on the planet, who will be coming to Durham for this little symposium, and you're more than welcome to come to that. And then we're also having a gala to celebrate 50 years of lemurs, where Allison Richard, the #1 lemur researcher, will be there giving a speech, as well as Razia Saeed. She's a Malagasy musician who will be there as well. So it'll be lots of fun. So please check that out. Okay, well, thank you. Any other questions on here?